Anyway, hello and welcome. We had a huge Battlegrounds patch, and yes, tons of great stuff happened. Some things get nerfed, some things get buffed, and some heroes get adjusted, which we're gonna start with. The specific and the most comments from the developers, they wanted to nerf both Quillboars and Dragons while buffing underperforming tribes like Naga, Undead, Murlocs, and Demons. So Murlocs weren't underperforming. The problem is with Murk-Eye. That card was abused in almost any tribe, it's also a key unit for Murlocs. So saying they had to nerf that one to avoid some problems in the metagame, they also had to buff the Murlocs. So Murlocs are probably a bit worse than, they actually get probably nerfed overall, even with all the buffs to the key units to make up for Murk-Eye change. We're gonna go to quickly to hero changes. Link to the patch is in the description below. I'm not gonna go super into details, but what we can do, the heroes that were not pickable at high MMR, that no one picked, even 5% people, get adjusted, aka get buffed. But nothing super groundbreaking, because the next Battlegrounds patch is in a while, so they didn't want to break the game if they overdid it. So heroes that get changed is a Jailer. Instead of 7, now it's 5 units. We have an ixxdeee, which is 9 instead of 10. It's very relevant change, because mechs kinda get out of token mechanics, so ixxdeee wasn't that good. You needed both Beast and Undead in lobby, so the hero is back to 9, which is kind of reasonable change because it was way too weak. The weakest hero in the game, alongside Savjz, which also get buffed, Mithril, Mana Storm. And now 3 attack kinda is relevant. The hero is probably still not great, but a lot of armor, try to get Lullabot, you can do quite well. The big change is Sindragosa now giving +2/+2. A lot of armor, decent early game. Here probably gonna be a stable, especially if you are not super ambitious at winning, you just want to climb. So Cindy might be a valuable option. Especially that we have Swamp Striker, we have Lullabot. Those units are kind of premium to buff. Swamp Striker being super good right now with Wind Fury, so you buff the unit that can trade extremely well, you're gonna be even stronger. So that's a positive change. And this hero probably will see some play. And Ragnaros, so once again, they kind of, like for example, Mech tribes, not as many tokens anymore. So even this hero being buffing at the start of the season was not enough. It's now at 16. This is a 3-on-3 meta quite often, so it's still kind of awkward. Like you're gonna get griefed quite a lot. So I don't think you can finish this hero power unless you get super lucky at the end of turn 5. It's probably at the end of turn 6. Or maybe at the end of turn 7, so like 10-8 scaling is not great. But we will see in specific lobbies, especially with Beast Undead, I think Ragnaros is gonna be quite a solid option because you're gonna get your Sulfuras very fast. Especially that Undead get buffed severely. There's a huge changes to the tribe coming, which I'm gonna talk soon. The only nerf out of the heroes is a Queen Ashara. Based on stats, one of the best heroes, definitely overperforming at the lower ranges of MMR, extremely solid, especially that Nagas have very strong early game and it was extremely easy to activate the hero power on turn 5, start snowballing, and even though Naga had kind of limited the late game, the new spellcraft units that keep on growing was just probably insane tempo. So, and also this is important, Nagas get buffed. So in order not to break the game, they also had to make some adjustments. Because spoiler alert, Zesty Shaker is now tier 2. So this is probably also Naga tribe get buffed. The hero is performing already quite well, so they had to do some adjustment beforehand. As mentioned, Savjz get buffed to 3. Mav is a bit better, but this unit is still, it's so easy to play around this hero power. Divine Shield play around it quite well. Yes, you can have to say some HP. Basically, you have to treat this hero like a patchwork with tiny WB upside. So maybe it's pickable now, because like 3 actually makes a difference, but I would still rather avoid it. And I think it's really hard to tell whether it's better than Patchwork or not. And the last change, or not last change, is Sylvanas to 3-1. Nothing groundbreaking once again. Could be a similar story to Sindragosa that it might now see play, because you know, it's quite good, but it's kind of also a problem with Ragnaros. If people go 3-on-3, you're not gonna get your value. Then you kind of want to level on turn 4, but you didn't get your value. You cannot really hero power, so it's still quite awkward. And Edwin, the math was actually changed on Edwin, so you have to buy 5 cards, but you're getting +2/+2, and it upgrades by +2/+2. So if you have infinite setup, you play like if you actually go infinite, you can play 20 to 40 cards per turn. The hero power actually gonna grow crazy big, but if you are infinite, you don't really need this hero power, and you might even want to change this to get like a divine shield, or you want to get a broken hero power to proc opponent's divine shield. So I don't think this is such a game breaking. There's also some armor adjustments, so as you can see, the overperforming heroes get nerfed tiny bit, like Snake Eyes, we have Omu, we have I think Galliwix, Toki, Patches. Those heroes were quite good. They had a low armor. And a lot of people have now more armor because there's tons of heroes that are not even pickable. The big ones, both Zerek and the new hero Otar from 7 goes up to 15, and Zerek from 12 to 17. Both of these changes are very important because Zerek is kind of like a Reno greedy hero, but if you can delay the hero power because you have more armor to do it would. And Otar was just unpickable, but with 15 armor you might decide to pick it because the hero power is not the end of the world, just 7 armor was just a big mistake. Okay, so now we have some card pool changes. We have a Bedrock Bookie. It's not only back but also reworked, which is quite good. We're gonna go to that card a bit later. Menagerie Jack, who remembers that, for three tribes. You get a +2/+2, kind of buff to Team Master and Menagerie overall. We have a Soul Loser to buff Undead. It gives attack to all Undead unit except himself, depending on the threat. This card is very powerful, and I see that's why I was mentioned. Undead gonna be quite popular just because of existing this card. They also buff a Champion of Primos, so I think there's a bright future for Undead, especially at the MMR range between 4,000 to 8,000. I think they're gonna be very good. So we'll see how this goes because there's still the new tier 6 Deadly Striker, which dominating. So big change, Upring Roderick, the best 1-drop in history of the game, or probably top 5 ever, get removed, had to be done. Similar to a Bristling Buffoon, the Quilbor, which also was tier 3, basically Blue Tavern 2. Both of them are gone and they replaced by Bookie and Doziwalp, which is quite a weak card. So that's actually a big nerf to dragons. Another big change. So we have Party Elemental back, but Bedrock and Bowler Strat get obliterated by moving Bedrock to Tavern 3. So Party Elemental is brought back to fill the slot for the early game for Elementals. And the huge change for the Demons, Bazaar Dealer, extremely powerful card that allow us to buy the Tavern spells for free, is back. It's currently not in game as I'm doing this review because there were some bugs, but it should be back probably this week, so stay tuned. So Implant Subject was card changes. Implant Subject was brought back. They changed some text, but I think that is effectively working the same. It's to fix some bugs, so I don't think this card was removed. I don't think this card was really changed. I don't know how good that is. We will see. I think it's a decent passive scaling. You can get up to +2/+2 to up to +5/+5. It's actually not that bad. Yeah, it's like, you know, you can lose Reborn, you can lose Divine Shield, you can lose Venomous. So it technically can even get like 20/20 per fight even. Obviously not something that you want to stay in your board, because it doesn't have Divine Shield or Venomous itself. Only have a Stealth, so that's probably not good enough amount of the keywords for like Hacker Fin builds, but something that can maybe carry you in the mid game. Big changes for the dragons, so Hunter of Gatherers once again was revert to being at only 1 and 2 health respectively, depending on the version. And also is a tier 4 now, so the price promo Drake was advanced to tier 5. This card is like the weakest dragon, but it's still extremely powerful. So this change, I don't know, probably to tinker a bit of dragons, especially on Tavern 4. They had plenty of great options between Razor Gore, Poet, Price Promo Drake. So you could build really strong build on Tavern 4 with moving Price Promo Drake. You're gonna still be able to build a very solid build, but you no longer have this tempo that insta-stabilize you in terms of Price Promo Dragon. Hunter of Gatherers is now tier 4. It's kind of relevant for one Amalgam tour group, but nerfing the effect probably is like, yes, you're gonna get more procs out of it, but you in the end probably end up with less HP, so that's something to keep in mind, but I don't think that's so as mentioned, Bedrock was moved to tier 3. Originally was in tier 3, was moved to tier 2, was broken, similar to Buffoon. Wonder why. Fundamental, some buffs to demons, so base stats. This is kinda important because 3/3 actually does something. I don't know why it was a 3/1. It could be honestly like a 4/3 or like 5/4 even, because it's very hard to shop buff. They nerf already the Rylak, so this card was the best partner of all the Rylak, Metalhead, but not anymore. It's still possible to shop buff quite well, but there are some probably better options than just abusing this card. So buffing the base stat is relevant because demons have the problem similar to the beast. They had very weak early game, and even this change can make a small difference. So the big change to the Quilbers, the Gemrat. So Buffong was removed, was replaced by a card, and Gemrat was moved to tier 4. So according to Stats on Digest Replay, this card both on 10-7 is kind of like negligible impact. Therefore, this is actually huge hit to Quilbers, because on 10-5 and 6 it had insane play impact, on 10-7 not so much. So buffing your gems that late might be a bit too slow. I'm honestly a bit worried about the Quilber tribe. Probably still quite good, you're gonna see some high rolls, but way less. So the tribe might be like a very high upside, similar to like maybe demons even, right? Demons right now are very similar to that, which might change because demons get buffed. So Quilbers might be like, okay, I hit it, I destroy the lobby once in a while, but often you just avoid the tribe, which I don't know, it's kind of scary. Some nerfs to Naga. So a lot of people are very confused why those two Nagas get nerfed, both Tarma Taurogist and Critted Wangler, but the cards were overperforming, especially because of Quilbers, because if Quilbers were so good, Nagas are a perfect partner in crime tribe. So those two cards get there, but this is not a big change to Taurogist. It's impossible to pronounce, by the way. It's just the base stats. The card is actually stronger because there's another change. As you can see, Zesty was moved to tier 2. So this card actually gets buffed by existence of this card because you can buy it, and you're gonna ramp up your spell count quite fast, and also this provides quite a bit of tempo. It's kinda like another Lava Lurker, at least for the early game, because you do ramp up your spell, and this card keeps the spell, so it's like a kinda second copy of Lava Lurker, and definitely help you up setup for the late game. They also changed, so Crit and Flanker was moved to +2/+2, which is a very relevant change. Card is probably way weaker, but it's probably still playable. The big change is to Cannoneer. It's kind of like a Naga cleaved, or what rather was meant to be one, but was totally a fluke. Kinda didn't work out because there's not really good way to buff it. They removed both Atisa and Lord of Gains, so there's really not good way to buff it permanently. So the base effect got changed. I think it's gonna be relevant if you level aggressively. Now you can consider buying this because now it's quite good on 10-6, 7-8. But it's not something that you're gonna probably try to like somehow buff and keep for the whole duration of the game. Some more changes. So Scarab was moved to tier 4. This is a kind of nerf to the Beetles, but tiny wee bit. And instead, overall, the Beast tribe get buffed by moving the Raptor. And going 3-on-3 actually get buffed because now we have a 1-2 that summons 5-5. So yeah, that's a buff overall to Beast, because now you have a playable unit that you can buy in the early game, and Ribbon being on Tavern for not gonna ruin your Beetle plans, don't you worry. I mean, it's gonna kinda decrease the consistency at you're finding the Ribbon, but overall I think it's a buff to the Beast tribe themselves. The big change is that Carmine Chameleon is now tier 5 again. It's mostly because people realize, thanks to Jeev, that this card is crazy good, and you should probably run it quite often, even 2 copies, get a setup, and abuse this as much. Not even a beast, right? You don't abuse this in a beast, maybe in a beetle comp, but you abuse that in any other comp that can grow the tall unit. And a Quilber Naga meta, they together are very good at making one big unit. And then there he is, double Chameleon, your combo is done. So I kinda like this change. It's a bit of a nerf. More buffs to beasts. Goldring was once again moved to 4/4. Great Blizzard, great. Is it good? No. Is it playable? Yes. Is it gonna be dominating lower MMR? Probably yes. There's Mecha Horse, Titus, Goldring. Do I care much as a high MMR play? Not. I honestly, this could be even better right now, because there's not that much support for the build. Like, there's a Titus Parrot and Mecha Horse. They could be even stronger from my point of view, but I kind of like this is something. And they also buff this is more relevant, I would say, Gula Cabra buff. If you discover a 6-drop, getting this card, now at +2/+2, you have a stable scaling. So this is more relevant change if you are clipping, because like if you are getting your precious discovery, you don't want to discover like a Goldring, but if you discover Gula Cabra, you have one dead rattle, then you buy another one, and suddenly you can buff your board by +4/+4, and that's significant. So this change, I kind of like it, and I don't think it's gonna break the game. But also buff to Undead, right? Because like it's gonna work quite well with Undead. The big change is moving Champion of Primos to only Avenge 2. Honestly, I'm super surprised they did that, because Undead are one of the best performing tribes at the lower MMR almost always historically. So this might actually break the game at 4,000-5,000. is it killing the game at high MMR? Maybe even 2. Mostly based on the Deadly Striker, the new tier 6, which has crazy synergy with this. So yeah, Undead maybe are back on the menu between Soul Loser, so you can dedicate yourself in the early game, pick up the Soul Loser, level to 5, get the Primus, discover a 6-drop, there you go, Undead RP. And also the top tribes get nerfed, so I would say, bright future for the not so alive friends. Okay, so Holy Macro was moved to tier 6, but has Divine Shield now. So this is a buff / nerf. Yes, you're gonna have less copies of it, but it has base Divine Shield. So you can open with this, for example. So it might be a Town Leroy meta even. But yeah, this is a necessary change. And I think they're kind of giving it a try. Can Mackerel even be at the game at tier 6? Right? The reason they give it Divine Shield, because if you discover it and it had no Divine Shield, you're like, why I'm getting 6-4, no Divine Shield? So they buff it to 8-4, gave it Divine Shield, so at least as a tempo unit. When you do have this precious discover, you're not gonna be super disappointed. I will see whatever this concept can be in the game. This is kind of like a test. Is it a tier 6 or maybe this is like a tier 7 power level wise? So we'll see. This is probably a nice try. So charging Charina, the high attack Tavern spell scaling kinda fell flat between the other alternatives of the Mech strat, so Charina got changed to now giving 3 attack, which is very relevant obviously, right? So every 2 spells equals 3 spells, basic math. I think Charina gonna be great at stabilizing right now, great at grinding the MMR, so I probably will play it way more than I did already. So yeah. Okay, so next we have Hollow Rover. Honestly, they didn't nerf this card. This change is like cosmetic. 3-5-4-8 doesn't make a difference, I will be very honest, because it has base Divine Shield anyway, so it's a cosmetic change. Honestly, not even necessary. Okay, it's wasting time. They probably should have removed Divine Shield in my honest opinion. At least to force you run the module and find the pounds, or always risking this being a kind of snipe. So I don't like this change. I don't think they kind of... It's not a nerf basically, there's a cosmetic change. It's like, you know, doing nothing. Some changes to demons. So Archimond is nerfed, maybe we start with that. It's now tier 4. Your Tavern spell cannot cost less than 1. So there's a limitation on this, but since it's tier 4, you can use Eyes of Earthmother. You can find more copies of, obviously on it earlier. You can dedicate yourself to playing demons on Tavern 4, which is very, very important. And it used to be very good in the past when Archimond initially came out in tier 4. But there's certain limitations, so you have to be very, very cautious how you play it. It's actually going to be a new concept, similar to the Nala. It's going to be quite confusing where do I play my demons and stuff like that. But overall, between Archimond being moved to tier 4, Soul Rewinder having tiny bit more attack, Big Brother being a tier 3 now, I think demons are in a very good spot to actually show up to the meta. There's another nerf to Nether Construct, and there is alongside nerf to the Tavern spell, which is a Fendral Fortune. Those two, like, so first off, there was a lobbies that you could always discover Nether Construct out of the spell, so they make it more expensive. The reason they didn't make it like a 5 gold, because there's lobbies that there's Quillbars in, and then this spell at 5 gold is kind of bad, and it is meant to be a support for Quillbars and Hog Rider strats. So they didn't want to nuke the Quillbars. So this is very tricky to balance. That's why they changed also Nether Construct to only giving +4/+4. This is a very reasonable change because it was a bit too strong. So this is gonna slow down both strat based just on this unit abusing Fendral Fortune and the demons in the late game. Maybe Mechs too, because you could use this to buff the shop and then use Mechs too as well, quite well. So yeah, I like this change because Karba's obviously overperforming. Some buffs, cosmetics buffs to Murlocs that probably are not super relevant. Reckless Cliff Driver starts at 4. Mutated. Okay, so this card, when it came out, everyone was wondering why we should play this. And it was meant to be playable in Exodia Pirates, Goldring Beast, and Undead, so all the Death Rattle tribes could use this as a kind of way to build a comp and then swap it for something better, right? Because like Cruise Controller obviously and Goldring are better than this, but this was meant to be kind of like a filler until you find the key pieces. But it came very flat, so they did buff it to +3/+3. We'll see how this performs. I had it in Exodia Pirates and wasn't honestly that bad. The 3 HP might grieve you if you play Exodia Pyra, so that's a problem. You rather get just attack and no HP, so your Scallybugs always die. Similar to the Goldrin, since this is not a beast itself, you cannot really reborn this. It's not gonna replace the wolf or be a great partner for the wolf, but you know, it's a useful tool mid game for all those tribes. And both beast and undead get buffed, so maybe this card will see more play now. So the replacement for the Nala, Salon Dancer, honestly the card itself is quite good. It's just there are so many better strategies for the late game that this card never seen play. Now it's a +5/+5, so it's actually better than Nala because you get more stats, right? It's 2 other friendly minions, so it cannot buff itself unless you have 2 copies, then they can buff itself. So it's probably a very powerful unit now. There's not that many great Tavern spell generation. We don't have Rerolls Asomatic. There's only like a Silivas and the new tier 4 Mech. So that's like a bit of downside, but on some specific heroes, let's say Nabunda, you can probably run this with quite success and we'll probably see this card way more. So already mentioned this, Murk-Eye get nerfed, it's only work on the left side. This card was changed like 10 times already in the past. This was needed. Bran, Drakari, Murk-Eye, every tribe, go. This had to be stopped, so this card is nerfed. That's why they buffed the Murlocs, so we have both buffed to Hafkerfin and Begurgle to kind of combat this, but it's still huge nerf to the strat. The Murk-Eye is just so broken and such a problematic concept that they kind of struggling balancing this properly. So yeah. Okay, so the probably last big change is a Nightbane Ignited. So the base stats get kinda improved to 8 attack, but the card cannot buff itself, so you no longer can run double Nightbane powered Titus build. Just sprinkle some Nadina and your build is done. You will have to actually find a way to buff your Nightbanes, so the Nightbanes can buff other dragons, but they cannot buff itself. So this limits this AFK scaling build that was close to unbeatable unless there was like some specific counters like a heavy death rattle lobbies, but no one is playing beast or undead pre this patch, so it was way too powerful. This is a very reasonable change because they did remove Kel'Thuzad, but they also removed the Bramble Witch, so this card had like a green light to just ruin rampant to ruin the meta, and this card made so Dragon like Caligos is kind of useless because like Nightbane, double Nightbane is just better scaling. And with Nadina being in the game, it totally broke. I think dragons were one of the best tribes, if not the best. So yeah, very important change, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. So Buki, as already mentioned, get reworked. Now you don't need to longer float the gold. You always get 1 gem. It's a very strong card if you get it on 10-3. I assume it's one of the most... it's actually very solid, to be honest. And Quilbas are probably kind of happy about this card being in the game because Bafur was removed, but like this is basically like a 3/3 that's gonna give you +1/+1 every turn. You can buy your gems. It's probably something that you can run in the early game, and great synergy with Nagas as well. So I already mentioned Fandra Fortune is costing 4, and this is the last big change. I kind of misspoke earlier. Bonus potential, you cannot discover the spell of higher tier. This didn't work out, was so abusable between staying on Tavern 4 and discovering Eyes of Earth Mother, been staying on Tower 5, getting infinite knock of wisdom ball or like a Hamul spell. Was so abusable that they had to change it, but it's still an amazing spell because it now only costs 3 gold. You can either still discover armor if you are on Tavern 5, right? You can still discover Eyes of Earth Mother, and you can still discover just a 5-drop. So the spell is still amazing, but not game breaking or not gonna change the outcome of the whole game because you get lucky, you get knock of wisdom ball into tier 7. I had a game like that. On 10-8, I played Wisdom Ball. On Tavern 5, I get Golden Brand at 10, won the game. GG well played, no skill whatsoever. So this change was needed. Other than that, we have some bug fixes, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. As already mentioned, the link to the whole patch notes is in the description below. Leave a comment, leave a like, and take care, chat.